everybody, this is HorrorScope. My name is Jordan, and my co-host,
Alex.
My name's Jay.
And this is the first episode of HorrorScope. This is gonna be a little rough, but we're gonna cook, and we're gonna keep on cooking, so just stay with us. But basically, today we are going over a movie called Kill Baby Kill, otherwise known as Curse of the Living Dead from 1960s. Wait, I see two things. Is it 1966 was the original?
Was the original film. Yep. And then 1972 is the version we're reviewing.
It's also not, it didn't just release by itself. It did release as part of a triple feature. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
The director was Mario Bava. It had some stars in it. Well, they're all, okay, I should reference, but when I say stars, they're Italian stars. So, like, people might not know them. I think the guy that was the most known, so Giacomo Rossi Stewart, I'm gonna butcher names, I'm so sorry. Erica Blanc and Fabian Dali were, like, the three major stars in this film. This was all made in Italy, and we have a couple fun facts, but this was eventually in 1972 dubbed in English and sent to the US as Kill Baby Kill and not Curse of the Living Dead, which made it way different. And I never heard of this movie ever in my life until we went to Highway Theater and they were like, guys, we're watching Curse of the Living Dead, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like expecting some zombie movie, and instead it's like this movie, you know?
Brought to us by the Mahoning Drive-In too. Let's just say on 35 millimeter.
I loved 35 millimeter. I got the thing that you gave me to make it look like 35 millimeter. If people don't know what 35 millimeter is, 35 millimeter is the type of film, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone else can go into it because I'm gonna be real. I don't know much about 35 millimeter.
It was the original type.
Yeah, the original film.
What everyone would see on like a lot online and such is like kind of like these filmy or grainy stuff in the back and like to a video, but like it's very hard to actually replicate 35 simply because most of it's just built into its design of it, its burning kind of it. That's the feeling that it gives off. But then, like when you do it in computers, I mean, it's just.
Oh, it's too pixelated. All the stuff repeats. You know, you can't ever replicate 35 millimeter. It's just impossible.
It's just so natural. I loved it. Seeing all of like the black dots and all the burn marks. It just goes hard. It gives it a different feel to watching.
It definitely gives it that more like old school, more traditional, like, ooh, I'm a little bit more scared and nervous of what's gonna happen. It puts you more in that like atmosphere.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess we'll move on to, we are based in the Philly area, for you guys that don't know that. We also go to this movie theater in Jenkintown called Highway Theater. And the Highway Theater, they also own the Ambler Theater, and I forget the third one. There's a third one, right?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, they have a third.
They have a third one. I'm gonna let that one go.
But the Highway is the only place where they do show the horror films, which is really cool because it draws in an awesome and amazing crowd every single time. Love and respect for the Highway Theater and keeping old horror movies alive, you know.
It's my first time going to that area because I was gonna just check it out and see how things go, and man, it was friendly, exciting. They even did a giveaway. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was really funny.
It was something like, what movie is Bigfoot, like the main monster of it or something like that? And it was just a trick question. It was just a trick question.
They thought about it so hard, and then the guy just went, oh, Bigfoot.
I love how nobody like raised their hand up, and then you just see that guy go, he's like, Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And Bigfoot?
And he's like, that's right.
We mentioned the Mahoning drive-thru. The Mahoning drive-thru is usually a drive-thru. I don't remember where in PA, but they actually aren't part of the Highway Theater, but they work closely together with the Highway Theater. So for this special feature, they brought their own 35 millimeter film, and they presented it by them, and they had ads from like, I would say it's like the nuclear family era, like 1950s, 1960s, like that era of ads. So like we're watching the movie, and they had like an intermission where they played like the old Coke commercial, or they played the old, I forget, it was like the Payday chocolate bar.
Yes.
The Paydays one was really cool.
It was like all different versions of it. I miss that kind of style of artwork, but I also am just a sucker for like that, what is it, deco art or something?
No, me too. No, like I think
Deco
Fallout so much.
Yeah. Oh, Fallout, for sure. It's that like almost like a dark zaniness, you know, to those kind of the art. So
oh no, 100%.
Yeah, I loved that they did the ads and everything. That was pretty fun. But all right, let's move on. Check out Mahoning, check out Highway, and let's move on to the movie itself.
All right, guys, just understand that because this movie is pretty old, but like just in case, we're gonna give a bit of a spoiler warning because it's a really great movie, and honestly, you guys should definitely check it out. Anyways,
overview of the movie is basically our main character Paul comes in to investigate a killing spree going on in this small town, and he's doing an autopsy on a person, and they don't necessarily want the autopsy to be done. I'm talking about like the villagers, and a lot of people have a weird stigma behind it. So he gets a person to help him, and her name is Melissa. And she's going to be kind of like our main, or either main character as well as Paul, or like side kind of backup sidekick, you know. So those two kind of cause a lot of trouble going through the town, trying to uncover what's going on throughout the killings. Yes, Jordan.
I have a question. I just found a button real quick. Melissa is the 1950s bang buddy, because every movie needed a bang buddy, and they all every movie needed a guy to have some chick that, yes, they're gonna get together, because that's every fucking movie in like the 60s and 50s. It felt like,
Of course, they need somebody to, you know, fill that role.
yeah, sorry to be so abrupt, but like that's straight up what she is in that movie. Is like,
Yeah.
she's just the love interest in it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a definite like love interest between them.
Yeah, she had lore implications. I'm not gonna go into it yet because that's later. But I will say there was lore for the character, but like could have not been a love interest and just had been totally lore.
Oh, I mean, dude, the one scene where she was like basically running around, she wakes up from the nightmare and she's like, Paul, where's Paul? It's like, Monica, chill. You don't need Paul. There's like 5 million other people around you.
Yeah.
But Alex, I think you were still trying to explain, and we went on a complete tangent again.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to...
No, it's okay. Paul and Melissa were just, you know, going about town, you know, wreaking havoc, basically trying to uncover the mystery. And they run into the Burgermeister, and his name is Carl in the movie, and he... I think, you know, going through it, you're like, oh, he knows something, you know, so he's been kind of holding back on us a little bit. So is his wife. Come to find out that it's a curse of this little girl who is actually murdered in the town, who's kind of wreaking havoc. And, you know, then we find out through the Burgermeister himself that, well, he dies and then drops a letter that tells us that Melissa is actually part of the Gropp family, which is the family with the little girl, the Gropps. So they go to the Gropp Manor and they kind of have to handle the curse or the little girl, but they just end up escaping and leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, since we went through the story, because we're mainly going to be focusing on the review and like how this was created to feel like a horror flick or a horror story. So we got like an overall review though. In my opinion, it was pretty fine, pretty straightforward, but it had a lot of plot twists.
Yeah. The plot twists were definitely, you know, given the time period. I wish that they could have elaborated on it, because I feel like they could have, if they were allowed more time and money, I feel like they could have definitely made those plot twists a little bit more clear.
There were definitely like things that you just kind of have to either headcanon when, like, at the end of the movie, you're like, okay, this is what I think is going on, because they don't really explain it. So one of the main plot points was that Monica is Melissa's sister, and Monica is the little girl that's been killing everybody and being like staring at them like this, and they stare real hard until you die, basically. Monica never actually kills anybody, like, physically. She just looks at you and gives you so much dread that you kill yourself, correct?
No, that's right. But also Monica's the older lady.
Yeah, I think I was right.
I had to search and I was like, hold on.
The mom.
Monica is Blanc.
Monica, I forgot. Monica's older because they were born before them and then she died. Yes. Okay. Sorry, correction. Yes. Monica is the older sister that is the little girl in the movie, but Melissa. This is years later, so Melissa's grown up, and that's like the big plot twist.
I'm looking at the wiki though. Like, no, what I'm trying to say is Monica is the one with Paul.
I fucked up again.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so Monica is the big sister or little sister?
Bloopers.
Yeah, bloopers. Monica's the older sister.
Okay, Monica is the older sister, and she is the bang buddy. She is the bang maid, if you watch It's Always Sunny, of the 1950s film Kill Baby Kill. Okay. And so, anyway, sorry. Monica's the big sister of Melissa, who Melissa is the little girl. She's blonde, and she's on the front of the movie cover, I think. She's on, like, the VHS box. And so, to go into Melissa a little bit, because we actually haven't talked about Melissa, even though this is the movie's killer, Melissa really doesn't hands-on kill anybody. Like, she basically looks at you really hard, like this, and then you just go, ah, and then kill yourself.
I would say, like, it's not just necessarily them, like, getting looked at and then they unalive themselves because she's making them, but in a sense, like, they fear her or dread her so much returning that they are so scared to confront her or face the problem, so then they unalive themselves because they think that she's going to get them anyway.
Yeah, then it just gets really funny because, like, I mean, there's one scene within the movie where, like, one of the girls, or like, it's not like, I think, no, it was one of the daughters, or like in tavern, and that was like somehow, because revealing the location, I believe, I think it was revealing the location specifically, that caused her to be summoned to the girl, and then she was having nightmare after nightmare and like unable to get back up. For some reason they put a barbed wire around her. I don't know, that's a weird plot line that just never explained whatsoever.
Yeah, Nadine gets barbed wire put in her because that's gonna fix everything for some reason, and she's slowly bleeding out in her hospital bed. Everybody goes, actually, I fixed her, because Paul comes over and goes, take the barbed wire out, you idiots! And then everybody leaves, and they assume that she's okay, and then later, Melissa comes and goes...
No, no. She goes like this. I'm
sorry, but picturing Melissa as the Rock just doing... And then
Could you just imagine Melissa smoldering?
Yeah, just...
I don't want an image of a little girl just giving a mog face. I can't do that.
She mugs, and Nadine walks into like a coat hanging rack, right?
Yes.
Or like a steel spike.
And just straight up dies.
And yeah, well, not straight up. It just kind of the video, the movie does a very good job with many camera angles. This was one of them, because it kind of just like pushed her to be more focused on the actual death, like what was causing it, but also enough to focus on the eyes and the face and the reaction to it, as Melissa's just outside doing the f***ing mog face.
Doing my epic mog face, you know me.
It's Epic Mog Monday.
Epic Mog Monday.
So, in the movie, the mom is basically controlling the curse because Melissa had passed away relatively young, and she kind of did some, in my headcanon, some voodoo, like, ritual stuff to bring back Melissa. And we know that Carl, his wife, had, like, warned the Baroness about bringing her back, and, like, knew about the whole curse the whole time, which was kind of like a... Are you serious right now? You didn't tell anybody?
Yeah.
But so I think Carl's wife determined that if you put a coin in their heart, they won't come back to life.
Yeah.
Victims of Melissa.
That's a pretty early on thing too.
Yeah, they don't really explain too much about that later.
They don't. They do an autopsy on the first dead body, and they find the coin. That's it.
Well, no, there's more to that. Remember?
Oh wait, no. The Baroness talks about it too, right?
Well, it's Baroness, and also towards the end of the movie, because they took the coin out, the body suddenly rises from the dead.
Yeah, because it's like the cycle continues. The cycle continues.
Yeah.
They'll never be rid of it because they didn't put a coin in.
I think we can also talk about a little bit, but the plot lines that are missing in cuts seems to be due to a budgeting issue. So when the movie was made, it actually got cut about weeks in or 2 months in, somewhere around there. It was pretty early, and they were just like, "We got no money."
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks.
Figure out.
Basically said 2 weeks. They ran out of money, and they kind of had to use a lot of sound bites again, over and over again. They had, they had their set and everything, but they were really limited as to how much they could actually do storyline.
Let alone pay the actors.
I think Mario actually took a pretty heavy cut from his salary from this film.
Oh yeah, no. I
thought it was a very passion project, right?
It was very much a passion project. Please
not mention this is his last film that he did make before he passed away.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
isn't there a third part, or no? Is there not a third part?
No, there's not. There was. I think there even was a third part. I think there was an attempt of making another movie, and then he passed away.
Yeah, I think I'm mixing it with having a third feature.
His son was trying to make a film with him, and then he passed away during that film.
So, I had a couple things that I liked and I disliked about this, and we're going to go around and we're going to talk about our likes and dislikes, and you can shit on my likes and dislikes, and you can talk about my, with me about my likes and dislikes. So this might be a long segment. So, one of the things that I loved about this movie, and I'm sorry, it's all I really remember this movie for, is Paul's hallway loop scene. So there's a scene where Paul's running because the Bang Buddy is saying, Paul, help me, Paul.
He just reduced her to Bang Buddy. That's just the funniest thing. Continue, keep going.
Poor Monica.
Sorry, this is ironic. I don't actually mean she's like a bang buddy. It's just for the bit. But yeah. All right. So Monica, poor Monica. Monica's screaming, Paul! And so Paul's running down the hall. But all of a sudden, you just see the same hall looping over and over. Which one, in the 50s? Or 60s? Is like, 60s, that is hard to pull off. That's a hard thing to pull off. On 35 millimeter?
I have to agree with you, Jordan. That was one of my likes. And I have to say, for back in the 60s, dang, that's an impressive feat to pull off. And it was so, like, surreal, too. Like, in that moment, you could really feel Paul's dread as he just keeps looping himself. And he runs into himself, and it's just like, holy shit. It's just like a, you know, that feeling of, like, am I ever going to get out of here? You know? Like,
Yep. And I don't even know how they edit 35 millimeter. Like, I don't know all these things yet. I'm going to learn them as the show goes on, but, like, I don't even know how you would attempt to edit 35 millimeter. I'm assuming 35 millimeter is also that you need to take it to like a purple room, right? Like one of those UV rooms, like for a black. Sorry, they call it a blacklight room, right? Where it's like
the blacklight room.
You take your photos there back in the day, and that's how you would make it show, right?
Yeah, you do need dark room for 35 millimeter.
Oh, you do need it for 35. I thought you didn't because it was a bit of a different.
Yeah, but I think that would require a lot of like intricate.
Yeah, so that's my thing. I don't know if they recorded the same scene over and over and just looped it. Like just did. Well, actually, no, that would still require cutting. They would just like record him run through, and then record him run through, and then record him run through.
I wonder if they just kind of recorded like multiple times and then layered them.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
That's still really hard to do and make it look good. But I love that scene. He grabs himself, he looks at himself, and he freaks the out. And then doesn't he wake up, or does it go to the next scene?
He does wake up.
The next scene because it's Monica. Then we cut to Monica.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to wake up, but because this cut of the movie, there was a lot of things that just were cut, and there was a lot more things I heard that were about the Baroness, right? Like the Baroness was supposed to be in the movie way more, but she was really only in like 3 scenes, even though she played an integral part in the movie. That was kind of one of my dislikes. But all right, going back to the likes, they had some really funny zoom-ins. Even they were really cool, and I liked it for the movie. But like, if somebody did that nowadays, I probably would be giggling just a little bit, just to zoom in on your face, and then it's just like, I specifically remember the part, there's an alleyway fight scene where Paul's not liked in the town because he dug up a body, and so he's walking through the town, and then the 2 dudes come up and like, we're gonna take care of you, bud.
Paul's just like, no you ain't.
Yeah, and then they start fighting, and then the Baroness goes, no, and then it zooms in on her face.
She's just going like, no, do not kill the child.
Yeah, don't kill the child. And then it zooms in like super close.
Like, it's just like, what is this?
Yeah, I like the zoom-ins because it sets a tone, but if it was nowadays, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. And then the last thing I really liked was the setting. I thought the setting was really cool for like a Living Dead-esque movie. It was like an old Italian town.
I agree with you on that. The atmosphere of the overall like setting, you know, area, the buildings in the town, super creepy. Everything almost seemed like it had like a thick fog around it too. Maybe that was just because it was like nighttime and stuff, but it was definitely had that creepy atmosphere that was setting up for a more like intense, more like mysterious kind of atmosphere.
I was just going to check out the location, which is Calcutta. Ironically, it's actually in Calcutta, like small little medieval towns. During no time, so Calcutta.
Yeah, Calcutta. That's what it was. I really liked the village. So I said something weird, and now looking back, it is a little weird. It reminded me of Dead Money from Fallout New Vegas, but it doesn't really fit that much.
I see what you were going for, Jordan.
Yeah,
but I do think it's like a little bit.
It's a reach. That's a reach and a half. Like looking back, it's a reach and a half. It's more giving Resident Evil 4 intro. Resident Evil 4 intro, like the town and how it's like old Spaniard town. It really gives that old Spaniard Italian town where it's like everything's made out of cobble. They don't have much. They got wagons. They got horses. You know, it's like if you were caught in a zombie apocalypse there, good luck. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, basically, with tiny corners and such. Like even just like the way they actually captured space in that area. I love the use of that. As I said multiple times at this point, like I'm obsessed with the word. I love the camera usage in this movie. It is very well effective, even for the short time and the short usages. From being able to just take odd angles and just making it
I was just about to
weird.
say, you really love those odd angles in this movie, and I think they really helped a lot because I think they're very experimental given the time period, and I think that really just sold this kind of like dread you know, in the set. It really just
Send it, yeah.
sorry,
No,
lost my train
I
of
mean,
thought on
like,
No,
that.
you're good.
But basically, it just
nah.
I think the camera angles are really cool, and I'm trying to remember. There was a specific one where they had it like tilted, and it was down a hallway, I believe, right?
Yes.
I can't remember the scene, so you're gonna have to go.
Oh, I think
I
it's the
really
same scene I was trying to describe her, but yeah.
I
They
was gonna say the one
very
camera angle that stuck out to me was when they were kind of running through the town trying to get back to
Oh.
the mansion of like the Grops, and like as
Mhm.
they were running away from the mad father, they like did a really weird like angle from the bottom as if they were like almost in the grass, like laying down taking the shot.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it just like it made the characters stand so tall. It was so interesting.
Some other things that, like, besides the strange ones of camera shots, one of them was like just the use of just putting a camera on a swing and just swinging it back and forth, adding that
Yeah.
weird sensation. Like, it's not something you see because it's like very hard to just have that move, whether it was a mock-up or like a very like good timing shot. It was very useful. And then there's another shot of Burgermeister's death for some, like, just the idea of him just, like, it's a weird plot hole in itself, but just the idea of, like, the ghost properly doing what it's supposed to do, which was, it appeared out of nowhere, and Burgermeister completely stone cold, like, he's resisting, he's like back against the wall, and is like, don't hurt me. But then for some reason, choosing unalivement versus watching and being haunted by this thing, he just ends it there. And that's where the plot point fails there, but
I do like that scene though. The scene was really cool.
That scene is very interesting.
The sickle as well. The use of a sickle. There's not that many sickles like used for kills. I feel like. So when I saw the sickle, I was like, hell yeah, yeah! Bring out the old timey sickle and rip
Oh,
out
you
his
knew
heart,
it was
bro.
going to be good when Bro grabbed Sickle and he's like,
I forgot that she was in the cabinet though.
that was
She-
actually
it
really
was
funny
really
though, because
funny.
Burgermeister opened the cabinet and you just see a little girl just like deadpan smiling at
Yeah.
you, like, you
just
know?
like jump scare.
Actually,
and then
pretty
some-
decent jump scare.
Yeah, I remember everybody in the theater because they had just come back from intermission, so everybody in the theater was just like,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna be honest, I think
some
the
other
intermission
things-
really did that jump scare justice, because you were not expecting it.
I was not at all. I wasn't expecting the scare at all, which means that movie also probably showed like that to a bunch of people when it first came out, you know?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also like. I think I just liked some of the kill scenes simply because of like how unique they were. I think that's kind of why I like both like Burgermeister's and the innkeeper's daughter. But problem is, it's like all the other ones didn't really do that well, or nor was really focused. It just kind of happened off screen. But I
will
think
say,
here we can probably go into
terms of-
dislikes. But yeah, what you were
In
saying?
terms of death, going off of your deaths, Josh, I do think they're like, while the deaths are really cool by each character, I think they were kind of lackluster as in terms of like the actual number of people that were killed in this film. I mean, you had, you know, the Burgermeister himself, you had the lady in the beginning, then you had the daughter, and then technically, I guess you could say like the mom and then the Burgermeister's wife. Like, it's like that's really it. You know?
I know they were saying that there were people in town dying, but you didn't really see it either.
All off screen, every single one.
I did want to mention that the stair loop. I think we all liked all the loops, and the stair loop was also a really cool part of the movie. I kind of forgot about it, and I know you had a metaphor for it, Josh.
I do.
I was actually going to mention the stair loop. I really liked that loop. Like, I know we talked about how amazing the hallway loop was, but in terms of like, you know, the stair loop also being in there too, it like also captured, you know, Monica's dread of just endlessly trying to escape the Grot Manor and just her never being out. Also that like her trying to leave with Melissa's just child laughter chasing her down the staircase was just like so intense. I was just like, you gotta get out of there! You gotta get out of there! I was rooting for her the whole time.
I'm in my girl's ear like,
As to like the metaphor that I was like referring to, guys, it was mainly just the idea of like them falling into hell, right? Because it's the angle of the shot kind of has us going as a kind of a straight long shot down the stairway which is circular, and as you go further down, it gets darker and darker and darker. And that's what, like, I use the metaphor of staring into hell, bouncing through hell, and like just falling further and further.
Yeah.
Because during, like you guys said, during the same time, Melissa and Monica were chasing each other all the way down, and it just kept going and going. And thus was the loop.
You know,
I didn't even know Melissa was chasing her. Be real.
something interesting off your point that you just mentioned, that hell metaphor, Josh, 'cause I actually really think that's a good metaphor. I don't know if you noticed, but every time they flipped the camera angle to the bottom of the staircase where it was darker, Melissa's laugh was a little louder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting because it kind of played like she's getting closer to hell, or like Melissa's down there, basically just waiting for her. You know,
Yeah.
like, come join me, sister. You know.
I didn't even realize that Melissa. I mean, granted, it was 2 weeks ago. All right, give me some credit. Melissa, I don't even remember Melissa being chased there. I just remember Monica going ah ah and running away. So like, I don't remember it, but I don't doubt that it happened.
You go, what if we're just gaslighting you this entire time?
That'd be a crazy plot twist.
Just
Hey,
kidding.
never
We're gaslighting.
Just kidding, Jordan. Everything that we said was a lie, and you've just been agreeing with us for the past hour.
JK,
Maybe
Jordan just
April
got pranked.
Fool's
We never went to see this movie.
I wasn't there. I had a schizophrenic episode and thought my friends were with me.
You're the one who brought this movie up.
I was just gonna go into the dislikes. I was gonna say, I know we all agree on this, that the movie had a little bit of a slow burn, as well as like some.
First half was so slow. Like, I want to stress that. First half is all built up. Nothing really happens, except for the inn's daughter, I believe, is in the first half, but she doesn't die in the first half. She just gets sick in the first half.
They set up.
Yeah, they set up. But, like, I will say, after intermission, right before Burgermeister's death, basically, because that's when it starts. Right before Burgermeister's death is when it gets really good, and it starts to pick up in pace, and a lot of things get explained, but also, as you guys have said, not a lot of things get explained. So that's how I kind of feel about the pace of the movie.
I think a way that they could have like maybe fixed that is like sprinkle in a little bit more clues about what's going on, because I feel like we were kind of like left in the dark for the most part.
I would argue that. I mean, this is kind of, I do agree, like, some of the stuff is like kind of plot holes, like I said, but I kind of disagree with you two about the one, like, feeling of like it's slow, but that's also because I'm someone who reads, like, I've been starting to read more of the older books like Dune and all that, which is a lot of build up and in a short climax. I mean, it felt like that's what it was designed to be, like a lot of build up, and again, there's a lot of cuts, there's a lot of changes to the story and plot holes due to like the timing and all that of it. Maybe they could have done that, maybe they couldn't have, but like, I mean, I kind of want to give them a pass for that, at least for me.
No, I agree with you to some extent, Josh, because I mean, me really kind of growing up watching a lot of older horror movies, I can appreciate like a good like slow build up where they kind of need a little bit of start and an explanation to really set the pace for everything.
Yeah.
I just feel as though like to this movie, I just feel like there maybe wasn't as good of explanations as there could be. Like, you know, Paul was not necessarily just kind of like thrown in like to do an autopsy, but didn't really sound like anybody actually ever really wanted it besides the Detective Kruger guy.
Yeah.
So it just felt a little random as to why Paul was really there. I understand why he is there. You know, like there is an autopsy to perform. You know, he's doing his duty.
Dude, he's there because he's like, Giacomo, the famous actor, obviously.
I just think that it had a little bit of a slow setup. I do think once it started getting into like going to the Grop Manor and kind of meeting the mother for the first time, I think that, in my opinion, was where it kind of picked up more a little earlier than the Burgermeister's death, but I think it started picking up once he had gone to the Grop Manor the first time.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it just picked up as soon as they also went to the villa. I don't know. Shit didn't really get serious until you see the body scene. They're like, why is there a dead body in the cemetery? And then he has the fight in the alley. It really picks up when she kills the Burgermeister and then kills the inn guy, and then stuff starts happening. Other than that, it's very slow and very dialogue intensive.
Here, I'm going to move into the next section. I know Josh has some dispute on me with this dislike. I think personally, the music selection throughout this film, I know I referenced this earlier, that they had a really tight budget, and I know that, but I feel like the music selection...
Yeah, they paid for the same... They didn't have enough money to get a different giggle.
I know, but it's just like... to me, it like didn't really make me feel anything. Like, every time there was like an intense scene, there was nothing. It was not doing it for me.
Yeah.
The reason why I would argue against you on that is because, I mean, okay, enough with the like, oh, they kind of they had a short amount of time at this point. Like, we kind of beat that horse. But the way I look at it is more of like using a more natural or undertone kind of like feeling, because feel like to me it felt effective in the idea of, yeah, there could have been a noise there, there could have been a noise there could have been like dramatic pause here, dramatic music tension build up and all that. But I feel like that didn't really needed to be added to the story to understand it. Like in my head, music kind of has to bring out some kind of emotion or at least emphasize on it. But they very concept of just limiting that silence and relying purely on just like what you hear in an open field, what you hear in like an empty room, liminal space, whatever it is. It's that's what causes the fear of like that unknown. Whether or not the guy was truly going for it, we don't know.
I mean, he might have not, but like I could agree with you to some extent. I just think that like maybe I'm just looking at it from a perspective of like nowadays I feel like music has a really impactful role to play with like horror movies and setting up a lot of, you know, tone and atmosphere. Maybe you're right. Like maybe it is just like that kind of atmosphere for the movie. You know, maybe they chose that kind of music to kind of fit it a little bit better.
Yes, Jordan. Yes,
Thank you.
Back.
So, I mean, I agree with both of you. I cut you off a little bit, Josh, so sorry. But I will say that having no music in certain things works really well. Like, especially if you watch Backrooms content and you watch, like, all the horror online content, they purposely don't use music at all. I remember specifically, I believe it was Alex Kister who made, which the ones that,
the monologue?
Don't leave me here, Michael!
Mandela.
The Mandela catalog.
Yep,
you had it right.
Oh yeah, that is Michael.
Michael, don't leave me here, Michael. It's supposed to be.
No, that's FNAF.
It is FNAF, but I remember it because of that. Because they put it over the weird scene from Mandela catalog where the dude's floating at the screen. If you know what I'm talking about. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
A lot of Mandela catalog's fear comes from just abruptly taking away what feels safe to the viewer and taking that away and leaving. Basically, like it just sounds like open air or white noise in place of it, but really quiet white noise to feel like you're listening to the gain of a mic.
I think that can be really effective to make the user feel like they're in that situation or make it feel more realistic. I just think for like a bigger budget, like not like saying this is a blockbuster movie, but I'm just saying like in terms of like, you know, an actual feature film, I feel like, you know, having some music to kind of set a little bit of pacing could help.
I also feel like this is not what he meant to do with that.
Probably not.
Probably did.
I think with this type of movie, it would have hit more if he had more music going with it. My opinion, I get tired of the 50s and 60s violin playing over and over. It reminds me of I'm listening to The Sound of Music. It's like
that's a good connection, yeah.
That is a fair connection.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but it's like if you watch Halloween, obviously different era, 20 to 15 years later, Halloween comes out, and Halloween has the you know, it has the piano going. That's Michael Myers is chasing you, but it also goes into like the really 80s synth and the, you know, it has other things going for it instead of just, you know, relying on the violin to carry you through the slow scene of the movie. Because for me, I think the music fit the movie because the pacing was slow, therefore it just kind of makes sense.
Quick little fun fact about that Halloween score, Jordan. Did you know that John Carpenter actually wrote that himself?
I think it's so cool.
Like, literally in a couple days, he just like had to throw it together.
I have the Blu-ray, so I watched like the extras. Nice. Yeah, and he was talking about it. I love John Carpenter, but anyway, there's one thing I want to mention before we go. I think they screamed way too fucking much for no fucking reason in this movie.
See, that's just the vibe, though, in the 50s.
It is the 50s.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jordan, wholeheartedly. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's the vibe.
I know, it's the 50s thing where they go, ah! You know?
I love how how you made the screaming thing, and then there was just silence, so we could just someone could just head
Discord
over.
moment.
Yeah, Discord.
They always do the hands to the face too.
Yeah, it's always just like, or the Home Alone fucking. But like, and also the problem is that like it kind of did a weird blend of mystery and horror, not effectively. I mean, that could also kind of lead into why there was a bunch of screaming and like all that, and a lot of like chasing around a mystery, because it felt like a mystery and then just suddenly dropped to horror, as if like I mean, it's also the weird intermission time too, so I don't know if that was even meant to be the case, because if you do mystery, it either is like thriller or horror in my head. Then yes, you own the back.
I would just say I agree with that. I think it definitely dropped the mystery a little too early.
Yeah.
I think I feel like they could have done a little bit more with like uncovering the Grop legacy and everything like that. Like we figure out Monica is the daughter or sister to Melissa, but I feel like we find that out in such a lame way. Like it's just the mother explaining like you're Melissa's sister. And
then it's like, cool, you gave it to us.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, well, we didn't even get anything of like her adopted parents, like sending her away or anything like that. We didn't get to see what even
just
even
you're her
the notes
sister.
said. It's like, yeah, it's just you're her sister. It's like
you're her sister.
And I know we said earlier that there were a lot of open-ended plot points because they're open to interpretation. But there's a difference between feeding you it straight up, the character of the mother goes, "You're my daughter," or giving you some sort of way. Like they had a thing where they go past the graves and you see the family grave and she has the same last name. That's when they would normally put it together, but that's later in the movie. I don't know why they did that.
With the note where it's like when the Burgermeister drops it, I feel like it could have been cool if they zoomed in and like on it could have been like ripped up a little bit, but it could have said like her adoptive parents weren't her real parents, because she thought they were, so like even that could have left like a question in the viewer's mind, like, well, there is already this kind of mystery about her. Maybe she is a part of the Grop family. We don't know, so I feel like they could have done more.
It's also a plot hole that was kind of dropped quickly. So,
for sure.
Who knows?
Audience type for this film is that more like old school classic like 50s, 60s, 70s kind of horror with more like that, like a cult mystery buildup. Personally, I don't think the movie was for me, but I did enjoy it.
I also feel like the movie wasn't really for me. I have to be in a mood to watch it, and I feel like a lot of people have to be in a certain mood to watch it. It really gives that the people that are going to watch it are either diehard fans of horror itself, or they really like collecting old horror things, or they also just like learning about horror culture. Like there has to be like a cult around it, obviously. Like that when we went, there was someone that was dressed up as Melissa.
Stan, he goes every single time. He always dresses up as the killer of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, My Bloody Valentine was really cool.
Yeah, and then for me though, I mean, if it ain't obvious at this point, I actually did like this movie a lot. I believe it's also kind of one for me, at least in the terms of like I've seen a lot of like more of like current stuff in like the kind of direction of film. It's like very hard to be unique and all that. So it's really nice to just kind of go back and watching how things build up. But that's just also me like liking the shots themselves and like just kind of going like leaning in and going like, I want to know what this is. Let me know. Let me see it. Like I'm just that weird kind of direction. Where I love the shots. Yeah. More than the story sometimes.
I love that. No, I love that. I am trying to get there. I'm trying to get to the appreciative. I appreciated 35mm. Like I loved that. Mm-hmm. I loved the looping scene, but that's because I loved the looping. Like I'm trying to learn more about cinematography so I can, get more into it, I feel like I'm more of an audiophile than a cinemaphile right now.
I agree with you, Josh, because honestly, my review of this movie was 5.5 out of 10. And that was only because the plot points were missing and the music for me. Mm-hmm. Everything else about it was fantastic. Like the setting, the atmosphere, the camera angles, like all that stuff, like the actual sense of horror behind it and the mystery. Like I actually did feel like, kind of terrified if I was in that position. So I think it's definitely a solid 5.5 out of 10.
I definitely originally gave it a 4.5, but I think it's a 5 now. I was convinced. I definitely think there were some things that I personally didn't like about the movie. I already said, but I think that what it did well. What it didn't do well, I already freaking beat it to death. I just probably wouldn't see it again.
Yeah, and then, I mean, my review points is 6 out of 10. 100% like the scenes, the choice. I mean, even like the direction of it, what it was trying to aim for, and like the choice of removing sound, adding sounds such as the tomb with the somber notes and all that. Though the reason why it's losing points is really just it got plot holes. I mean, no matter how you look at it, he intentionally left those in. The Mario, the director, intentionally left those in to kind and like it's either meant to be open-ended or not. Like the one thing that like annoys me the most about it, and that's what kind of losing me of like being pulled into the story, is simply just that suddenly towards the end, like after they took a coin out, the body revives and starts walking on its own, and it's just never seen again. That's it. It's just gone. Disappeared. It's just why? Like, you had me with the cameras, you had me with the music, you had me with the setting, you had, and it's surprising, even the actors, even though there's just a lot of screaming and confusion and being stupid, like, you had me on that. It's just the plot holes kind of just ruin it for me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that note, Josh.
Where would you guys put this on a tier list right now? We have to come to a conclusion. We all have to eventually agree where it's going to go. Personally, I think it's a B.
I was gonna argue a B as well, so oh god.
Yeah, I think it's a B mainly because I don't think it was bad enough to be. I don't know. Maybe it was a C.
May I argue that it's a C?
Yeah, I think it's also a C, low key.
The only thing is why I was fine with a C is because, I mean, even though it's well-defined movie in Italy, I mean, I don't know if we said that, but like, he's like one of the top horror movies within Italy during that movement, but then when you bring it to the US, it's like, we have slashers, we have thrillers, we have like weird mystery stuff. It's like,
I was just thinking maybe C because it didn't necessarily wow me enough to the point where, like, I feel like an average movie I would be okay with watching again. And then, but like, if somebody put it on, I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch Kill Baby Kill with you.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to be like, ooh, Kill Baby Kill? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I will not go anywhere and be like, we're watching Kill Baby Kill.
Yeah, see, that's my point. Like, I feel like an average movie would at least like get me to say, oh, okay, I'll watch it. But like,
yeah,
I would honestly, if somebody was like, ooh, let's watch Kill Baby Kill, I'd probably be like, let's find something else before we go to.
Or more likely, we're probably going to forget and be like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Be like, oh yeah, that movie. You know.
Personally, there are going to be movies that I already know that are be in my head, but they're not the same level as this. That's the thing. Like, this feels like it's lower than a B in my head. Because there are some movies where I'm like, Cloverfield Lane sucks ass, but the first Cloverfield is amazing. Like, I love the first one. So I think this is also a C in my head. If it is a C, it's around a C+, maybe C. It's like between C+ and C. I don't think it's C- or anywhere close to D because there are definitely shittier movies out.
We can always adjust.
I think as we go, we can move it. Yeah.
The inherent ability of like, okay, what's the next movie or the next thing? We anyway are already going to judge it based on that where it is. So,
all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate everybody for coming and watching the first episode of HorrorScope. We were very excited to get this started. I'm going to pass it off to Alex.
Thanks for watching HorrorScope. I hope you guys really enjoyed. Passing off to Jay.
All right, thanks again for allowing us to join you and basically experience horror movies in a unique, new way, in a sense, to all of us. I mean, we just sit around, now we get to talk about it and discuss it, so I'm very excited.
And before the video ends, I just want to say, guys, go like, subscribe. It really helps us out. Comment down below. What you agreed with us? Did you like the movie? If you watched the movie, would you like the movie? I don't know. There's so many things you could talk about in the comments. Doesn't matter.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, or Melissa's gonna come get you.
For real.
Melissa's gonna stare at you, and then every single second of you just looking at her, she's gonna be like,
we're just gonna do a terrible zoom in, and then you could do like a soundtrack of the girl laughing over my voice.
Hi. But yeah, like, subscribe. It really helps us out. And look forward to more movie reviews, read-alongs, video games, any of the sort. And if you have any recommendations, comment them as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.